Welcome to the Fantasy Football Profit Podcast, hosted by Craig Phillips and Jeff Torrey. Visit us at fantasyfootballprofit.com. And now your hosts, Craig and Jeff.
Welcome everyone to the Fantasy Football Profit Podcast. I'm Craig Phillips, joined as always by Jeff Torrey. And today we're talking 2022 again, this time 2022 busts. And maybe that could be harsh from what we're going to talk about, but these are players that essentially we feel are just going to be ranked too high for what we believe in. And they have potential to bust, potential to fall off, all that good stuff. So we have one at each position. We're going to jump into it, Jeff. Quarterback, who's your bust?
All right. Well, I'm going to start my hating early. And it feels like this has been a thing for the last 5 years for other people. I'm finally going to throw my hat in the ring. My bust at QB this year is going to be Tom Brady.
You're going to be hated.
Yeah, I know. And look, he's amazing. He is the GOAT. He is amazing. We don't know how this year is going to finish out, but the Antonio Brown thing, it just, and then if they don't win, if they have a tough loss, you're on a team that has, first of all, Tom Brady is getting very old. You're on an aging team because you're in a win now mode. Godwin goes down with a knee injury, so he's going to have to rehab and come back. You still have Evans, but he's going to be used, heavily throughout the playoffs, probably get banged up. Gronkowski has been playing great, but he's always going to be banged up. You can't rely on him week in, week out. It just feels like weapon after weapon after weapon is being taken away from him. Could they come back? Sure. But right now he is the number 2 QB, in fantasy. He is only being outproduced by Josh Allen. And at some point you have to see the decline. And as the entire team declines, I think he will too. And even more, Fournette got hurt too. So unless everyone or, half of these players have remarkable recoveries, it is going to affect his production. Not saying he can't win, not saying that the Bucs will be bad, but I can't expect nearly 27 points per game out of the guy. And a quarterback, if you dip by 5 points, which is, just a touchdown per game, which feels like a lot, I realize, but all of a sudden you're outside the top 10, you're kind of irrelevant. So I think he is going to be my bust for the year. There's just way too many question marks.
Yeah. We posted quarterback ranks last week on Instagram. After we did the podcast, I posted the ranks. Tom Brady did not make our top 10. Man, we got some hate for that.
I get it. It has been consistently everyone is crapping on Brady year in, year out. And maybe we didn't always put him as high as he should have been, but we never really said he's going to be done for. Well, and I feel like this is the first time where I'm like that. A lot is stacking up against him.
And my reasoning for not wanting to rank Brady high and all this stuff is, yeah, sure. Maybe he does it again. He just defies all logic, right? He might do it. He keeps doing it. But why draft him when there's other options? And it could be the year. Because at some point it will be the year. It will be at some point. Now I'm just starting to up my percentage chance every single year if I get him that this could be the year. This could be the year. I don't need to gamble like that. Why gamble like that with Tom Brady? So I'm just going to rank him lower. I may not, here's the thing. If I knew we had a good Tom Brady, again, I'd rank him higher, but I don't know that he's going to be 45 years old. We've seen all the greats fall off. It always happens. It happened to Peyton Manning. He had more injuries, but it happened to Peyton Manning. Happened to Drew Brees real quick. All of a sudden Drew Brees was just done. Ben Roethlisberger can't play anymore. It can't happen to these people.
Yeah.
It happens quick.
If you would have told me, hey, he's about to have a healthy Evans, Godwin, and Antonio Brown, I would have been like, dude, sign me up. I'll do it again. One more time. Let's do a victory lap. But now that you're and
Antonio Brown decided to quit
quit, crazy, quit, crazy rehab. And then you have one guy that now, the guy can catch 1 million touchdowns anyway. Mm-hmm. He's going to be the primary, suspect for every good corner to go on. It changes the game.
Yep. And I don't want to be a part of it. I don't want to take that chance. As QB number 2 for me, sure. Well, let me do that. But he's not my number 1. And I can, at some point, just keep that from now on. Tom Brady's your bust every year, and you will be right at some point. So that's all you got to do. Some year you'll be right. So we'll see.
Yeah. That's one way to think about it.
All right. So I'm going to go in opposite direction here from Brady. I'm going to go with, just because some of the stuff I've seen, I'm going to go with Trey Lance because of where it's very early. There's not a lot of ranks out there, right? But in the ones I'm seeing so far, I'm seeing Trey Lance up at 12, 13, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yeah, exactly. I see your look.
Yeah, get out.
That's where I'm like, no. I've seen him play a couple times, not a lot, but I haven't been overly impressed yet. And, it could be he's a rookie. We'll see more, right? But I haven't seen that where in one of the ranks I pull up right now, he's 3 spots ahead of Justin Fields. Justin Fields has played a lot in his rookie year. What is why Trey Lance getting up there already? Ahead of Kirk Cousins. Even Kirk Cousins isn't great, but why? Like, I'm not.
I would name two rookies from this year that I would rank above him without even thinking about it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you're gonna Mac Jones, Justin Fields, you're gonna go those guys for sure, like all day. So it's not Trey Lance necessarily like how I feel about him as a player yet. Like, I think he has potential, but if I see Trey Lance in the top 15 of quarterbacks, I'm just gonna be like, no way. Like, no, maybe he gets there, but I feel like the chances are very, very slim. Because look at the quarterbacks, look at the, like we said, all the rookies this year that have actually played long. Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, Mac Jones, none of them are up there in fantasy ranks. It just doesn't happen overnight all the time. Not everyone's, it just doesn't always happen.
Yeah, it feels like because we haven't really got to see him, people he gets that automatic, like, oh, he can do it. And we thought that about Trevor Lawrence before the year. We thought that about, every single one of these rookies looked really good until you get 1 week of tape on them, and then they all look terrible against an NFL D. I don't know why Trey Lance would be any different when he has less tape from college to go off of.
Yep. And this isn't,
it doesn't mean he's a bad player. It just means
I'm not saying he's a bust as a pick. I'm not saying he's a bust as a player. I'm saying he's going to be a bust. Essentially, I'm saying he's overvalued. It's the same.
Yeah. For next year. Yeah.
It's just where he's going to be. I don't like it. So there we go. Trey Lance. All right. Running back. Curious where you're going with running back. There's a couple options. I feel like not maybe nobody that like just jumps out at you, but I'm curious. Where'd you go?
Actually, one does jump out at me.
I'm curious if it's the one I'm thinking. We'll see.
I'm going with Zeke.
Okay. That's what I figured you'd go with. Yeah. Like that was, I didn't pick Zeke, but that's the one that I think if there's a player out there that you're like, this feels like this could be the guy. It's probably Zeke.
We're going in the wrong direction. And even more so, it is going to be one of those where the statistics and rankings deceive people, because you're going to go in and you're going to be like, what do you mean Zeke didn't fall off this year? Yeah, he did. Zeke is going to end up as the 5th best running back this year. That is so deceiving because he's going to be 14th in yardage average, and he's splitting time with Pollard. They are going to become a throw first team now that Dak is a year back from the injury. You have CeeDee Lamb, you have Gallup, you have Amari Cooper, assuming everyone comes back.
Well, see, Gallup just tore his ACL, so let's see when he actually
rehabbing. But not to be anything against him, but CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper are a little bit more important at the current time. But if he gets back even halfway through the year, it's another weapon for him. And he's just, it feels to me that he started off the year pretty well. He started off hot and heavy. They were going to him 20 times a game. As it wore down, 14 would have been a heavy workload, because Pollard really did show that he could do it. He has a huge contract. I would not be surprised if this goes the wrong way for him. And also, he has been a stud running back for so long that now he has so much, wear on the tires. And how many times have we seen this where running back will fall off a cliff? And if I'm reading the tea leaves, if I'm trying to figure out who not to invest that top 5 pick in, I know a lot of people are going to be like, Zeke is the name. He's on a good offense. He was 5th last year. Let's roll with him. I'm not there at all. I'm staying away from Zeke. So he's going to be my bust. It has nothing to do with talent. The guy is unbelievable. You have to draw a line.
He was unbelievable. He was. He's
absolutely.
He's not that same player.
No. Also, there's more people we can go down. Talent, like, I love going to talent, but it doesn't ensure success. And for a pick like you have to take with him, you have to get production out of him. And you're probably happy with it this year, but a lot of injuries happen. A lot of things happen for him to actually show up at number 5.
I think he's about 15th in points per game is what I just pulled up.
He should be out of the top 10. Like, he should be like 10th, 11th. And that is just the start of the trend in my mind.
I don't think you can watch a Cowboys game and tell me that Zeke is better than Tony Pollard. There's no difference. Zeke is not better than Tony Pollard at this point. I don't believe. I really don't see that. So I can't draft Zeke. I cannot. And that's why Tony Pollard's on my short list for breakout players, because there's going to be a split. It's going to be a split at best for Zeke. And he's definitely, I guess, like you said, like, if there is a guy you look at, be like, oh yeah, it's Zeke. Zeke's the guy to throw on this list. So I'm going to throw out another name, which I don't know how people are going to feel about this one, but I'm just not buying it. I'm not. And it's Antonio Gibson. I'm just not there. I've seen enough at this point, to be honest, where I just don't feel like a lot of it could be the team this year wasn't great, right? That didn't help, but I just don't see anything special here. This year, he's averaged 3.8 yards per carry, 237 carries, 891 yards, 6 touchdowns, 3.8 yards per carry. That's his year. 41 catches for 289. He doesn't get any yardage off those catches. I don't know. This guy didn't play a lot of running back in college, right? At Memphis. Mm-hmm. I liked him. I was a big fan of Antonio Gibson before the draft, actually, thinking this guy could have a shot. And he exceeded the expectations of pre-draft of what we thought, right? And he got this role. But I don't think he is special. I don't think he's a running back that deserves to just have his own backfield. Like, we don't see a lot of those guys these days, right? There's not a lot. I don't think Gibson's one that should. And I don't know. Jarrett Patterson has come in and not been great either necessarily, but he's been no worse. He's been Gibson. Like, there isn't much of a difference between what Jarrett Patterson has done and then what Antonio Gibson did. There just really isn't. So Gibson, he's going to be ranked high too. He's going to be right, not top 10, but right after the top 10. That's where he seems to be slotted in, like 12th, let's say, either very back end running back 1 or top end running back 2. I just don't, I don't know. I'm not feeling it. I feel like there's guys that are going to be ranked below him that I'm going to be more likely to try to get. Like you said, we talked about Dobbins before. There's other guys that are going to be coming up, but no, Gibson just not there, not on board.
I don't have too much more with. I'm a little less skeptical of him, but I don't disagree with your, like, the eye test and the analysis. Mm-hmm. I don't see them getting a different running back. I do think that the volume will be there, and I think because of that, he will do just fine. But I don't disagree that he doesn't look special. I'm hoping that is the injury this year that he was kind of hobbling through, because he looked a lot better in the second half of the season. But he didn't have huge breakout games or anything, that makes you believe like, oh wow, he's next level. I do agree with you there.
100-yard game all year. That's all he had.
It's hard to argue with that.
All right, let's go to wide receiver here. Who do you got?
Wide receiver. Quick rise, quick fall for me. I think that Debo Samuel, I realized that this year I kept being like, how's he keep doing it? How does he keep doing this? Can he keep doing it? And he did. Good for him. But he's going to finish as the number 2 wide receiver overall. I have a feeling that he's going to be really overhyped because of that. And I don't like what is about to happen to him. They could try to use him in the same way, but they had a lot of injuries in the backfield. Elijah Mitchell looks really good, and they still haven't figured out. They haven't really used Trey Sermon. They'll end up getting back to a place where they have 3 running backs they kind of like. I think Elijah Mitchell has looked pretty decent. I would hope that he would get the first crack at it going into next year. But the other thing that really worries me, which, number one, they ran Debo Samuels a lot at the end of the year. And he was able to get in the end zone quite a few times. So I think his numbers are just going to naturally regress. Number 2, if he turns into more of a wide receiver, Ayuk should, he'll be in the mix. Kittle turns into probably the number 1, and Trey Lance will probably be the quarterback. So it changes the entire dynamic of the offense. Doesn't make me believe that they can recreate the magic of this year. So even if he's the same quality of player, I don't think the numbers will be there. And I think he'll fall out of the top 10 pretty easily. And that's why I'm going to say he's going to be bust. I don't know how far down he is going to fall. But I can safely say I can't imagine putting him in my top 10. People
are going to hate you for that, but volume, there's not, I worry about lack of volume. The volume needs to increase. It can't be this year's volume. The touchdown rate doesn't continue. That doesn't continue. We've seen it happen and we've seen it fall off again. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how he gets ranked. So we'll find out.
Yeah.
So
I mean, at some point you do have to put him up there just to be like, let's try to, I mean, let's see, is it real or not? I mean, that's a lot of points to put up, but I just cannot buy into it.
Yep. All right. My pick, I don't know how people are gonna feel about this one either. I'm gonna pick DeAndre Hopkins. I just
going after the
yeah. He's been hurt now, but even before that, I don't know. The same production wasn't there. And but the biggest key is I just don't know if that DeAndre Hopkins we once saw is going to be the guy. He's going to be 30 this year too. He'll be 30 years old, and not all receivers fall off right away. They play beyond that, obviously, but I'm not going to draft him as a top 10 wide receiver. And I can see him sneaking back into the top 10, just being DeAndre Hopkins. And I don't want a part of that. So DeAndre Hopkins, my pick. We'll see how people feel about it, but there we go.
Yeah, I mean, hard to argue. I mean, he definitely had a regression this year, but he was still pretty solid. He caught a lot of touchdowns, though. I do have to agree the yardage was not there like normal.
Mm-hmm.
He also had an injury, but he's also getting up there in years. So, kind of along the Tom Brady line of like, when are you going to, pull the Band-Aid off? I don't know, though, because it's hard to go against DeAndre Hopkins, but I appreciate I know where you're coming from.
Yep. All right, tight end. Let's finish this thing off. What do you got?
All right. So tight end is going to be so anticlimactic because I don't know how you, out of a list of everyone but 5 is a bust. I don't know how you create a bust list. So I'm just going to pick a top 10 guy that I don't think will be there. I'm going ahead and I'm going to pick Hunter Henry. Not even really a name. I know this feels like a cop out, but 500 yards, 9 touchdowns. 9 touchdowns seems ridiculous for how he was used. He only had 45 receptions, touchdown way too high. So I'm going to say that is a guy that if people are trying to look at numbers and trying to figure out who can go up, who can go down, I think Hunter Henry was a very talented tight end, but he could never put it together. He's ranked the number 8th tight end right now. I don't think he'll be on this list next year. So yeah, that's who I'm going with. It's not my favorite pick because I don't think it's very strong, but at the same time, I'm not going to go with one of the top 4 guys.
If people just go off numbers and see it, they'll be like, Hunter Henry, he did this many touchdowns, all this, but it's already starting to fall off at the end of this year. So yeah, I'm not going to be on board with it at all, but I'm going to go with Gronk. It's not too crazy, but he's going to be 33. And it's not even that. I think when Gronk plays next year, he'll be good, but Gronk is not playing all the games next year. So, and because of that, he's not going to live up to where people are going to try to draft him. He's going to miss games. He's going to be hurt. It's going to, they're going to hold him out. He's not going to be drafted. He's not going to be at the end of the year like you drafted him. So I say avoid Gronk. Don't pick him. You're going to miss a lot of games with him if you pick him.
Yeah. The interesting part about him, and I agree, because unless you really want to, depending on where he's going in, if you really want to hold 2 tight ends, because you absolutely will have to with him, he is considered the 4th best tight end currently at points on average, but he also missed like half the year. And if that offense goes in the wrong direction,
he'll be good. I think he'll be good, but he's just not going to play all the time.
Yeah. So why put the draft capital into him right away when he could easily start the year hurt and you can pick him up on waivers or something?
Yep. All right. That'll do it for Bust. We'll be back next week. We got 2 more episodes for you before we round out the year. We'll talk about some sleepers, and then we're going to talk about our awards for 2021 season. But that'll do it for today. Talk to you guys next time.